What's up, YouTube? We're three simple men making their way through the galaxy. We're back for another week's episode. And Mike, your screen's still not on, bud.
I finally dropped out of hyperspace, found some convenient real estate in Coruscant, aka the Jedi Temple, and I just promoted myself to Master. So,
Oh, you promoted yourself. All right.
yeah.
So the council didn't grant you the
No, it was empty, and I granted myself the rank of Master. So,
a self-promotion.
um so to start off, well, Tom, did you say what episode we're in?
Oh, yeah, we're in season 2, episode 17, episode Bounty Hunters, which is why I got my Boba Fett shirt on.
I'm wearing my Bounty Hunter shirt too. Complete accident, but
looks like I'm the target because if I'm wearing Han Solo and I've got a bounty on me, never tell me the odds.
Definitely a great episode. I just wanted to point out that unlike any other Clone Wars episode that we've seen to date, this one actually starts off with an in memory. It does say in memory of Akira Kurosawa, who is a legendary Japanese film director and writer. Bunch of movies, but the one relevant, well, a lot of movies that George Lucas has even said that he got referenced or was inspired by to create Star Wars. And then this episode really watching it, and if you know the movie, goes is pretty much a reference or homage or a ripoff, however you look at it, to the Seven Samurai. And I can get into that more while we discuss the episode. The only other thing is the actual opening quote that comes after that is "Courage makes heroes, but trust brings friendship." So with that, yeah, I mean, what'd you guys think?
I got a new favorite bounty hunter.
Can I guess who it is? Is it Embo? Because
It is Embo.
Yeah.
Embo is absolutely badass.
Oh yeah, I mean,
awesome.
where do we want to start with him? Whether it's the introduction or just the whole tracking down a bounty hunter and going about the way he did it, or the hat even.
I was gonna say I think Captain America should consider wearing his shield as a hat because Embo basically has a Captain America shield as a hat and uses it like
the way I describe Bounty Hunter is if you ever played the Mortal Kombat games, Kung Lao with the hat or Lord Raiden, it is just the way he uses it as not only as a weapon but also as a shield, like Captain America, just awesome. We do find our heroes in Felucia, and this comes about a planet with a certain prop that's being built. And I don't know if it's y'all, I mean, for me, it's more of it gave me vibes of like Vietnam with opium.
I mean, so it's Nacilium, right? And I mean, they do call it a healing herb, though. So it's not like they don't mention anything about it causing people to be loopy or anything like that.
It's supposed to make you feel good.
But and again, I'll probably dip back into the Seven Samurai reference, but yeah, small farming town that turns out has a problem and they can't defend themselves, so they need help, which is where we get introduced to the 7 heroes that are there to protect them, 3 of which are heroes we know and love: Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. And then the rest are filled in by a eclectic group of bounty hunters.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when you see like the 7 meet, they're clearly, they're ready, like guns out, lightsabers out, ready to like go after the other. You have the big bounty hunter, like, oh, 4+1s, like, oh, what do you mean we don't count you knee high or whatever it was? And
yeah, that's funny. I'm gonna start calling kids that. You can't go through that. You can't go on that ride knee high. Just can't.
That was a good, yeah, that was good. And yeah, there were some interesting bounty hunters, but you're right. We kind of get the first introduction is obviously our regular heroes, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka crash land after getting into a fight with vulture droids on this planet. and immediately encounter these like massive turtle monsters that were walking on 2 feet.
Yeah, it was like I thought like
I
it
thought they
reminded
were
me of a
Koopa.
Meatball, but
Honestly, I was
it
watching like
definitely
Mario, the Super Mario Brothers on Netflix not too much long ago. I was thinking about like they were like Koopas or something like that.
But yeah, there's just these massive things that like walked by them.
Mhm.
Also, can we also talk about when they were going to Felucia, that whole new system that the Separatists have? It's just like, oh, it looks like a little station. Boing! All the Vulture, the Vultures are just
Yep.
spread out.
That was cool. We also got our lovely banter between uh Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka. We get the Ahsoka saying like, how come every time we're flying, we end up crashing, uh and then we get Obi-Wan or Anakin saying to Obi-Wan when they land, like, oh, you never want to do my plan, and he goes, or you never want to do it my way, and I think he says something like, well, we crashed your way, and like just threw
Is
that at him, which was
also,
fun.
by the way, is this the first time we see them actually eject out of a spaceship?
With those weird,
Yeah,
I
with
don't
the
know if
like
those were
Like
practical or not.
it's like a mix of a parachute than like a life preserving raft.
Yeah,
yeah, it was like definitely more like the life preserver because we're more used to seeing escape pods, but this clearly
They
was not.
keep
It's
bouncing,
like
keep rolling, rolling,
like
rolling.
it was like a bubble, like one of those
yeah,
like bubble boy
Bubble
things
Boy.
around in.
Shout out to Jake Gyllenhaal. Bubble Boy.
Um, but yeah, so the whole premise is they show up to this town. It appears to be abandoned. They're not sure what's going on. Then, and we don't either as the audience. We have no clue. And then they find some of the villagers hiding in their home, and we're to think, oh, someone's like taken over, and sure enough, instantly they have guns to their heads, and we meet all these bounty hunters. But we soon learn that the bounty hunters were actually hired to protect the not the big monster turtles, but the little turtle people. A lot of turtles on this planet. Uh,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
These they reminded me more of like the turtle from like Disney's Robin Hood, that animated series. Or
Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
oh, there you go. Yeah, one of them did kind of look like Master of Disguise, turtle. But yeah, and then we learn that okay, there's pirates. And of course, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear pirates in Star Wars, I get a little excited because
Ooh.
I'm thinking that we might be seeing our good friend, you love to hate him, Hondo. And of course we do. He's the villain of this episode.
yeah.
Uh he wants
Unfortunately,
that
we see
cylinder.
them on opposite sides, and even like Hondo's like, yeah, whatever they're paying, I'll pay you double, and yeah, clearly he's after the psyllium, and they've been making some raids and going after their crop. And yeah, he was very surprised to see Obi-Wan, Anakin, uh, on the opposite side here, and he's trying to woo. First he's trying to woo the bounty hunters, and he's trying to woo the Jedi, and um, yeah, it doesn't work out. And Obi-Wan's like, "I'll pay you," but it's like, "Yeah, we don't accept credits here." So it's like, well, if the spice thing didn't work out last time when they were trying to get Count Dooku, I don't know what type of currency would work, but
This is the second time Republic credits were denied.
hmm
No negotiating with pirates. It just doesn't work out.
no,
No.
so much for parlay. No pirates code.
Ooh, I like that, Mike. I like that.
I think Hondo, right, he lives by one code, and that's what he says right at the end of this, right? The what was his, I didn't write it down, but he says something like the financial
This planet
This,
is non-profitable or
yeah,
something like that.
this business is not profitable or whatever it is. Yep.
um but yeah, so we get this narrative of, these seven heroes that need to uh protect against this bigger group, and they decide, training the villagers to hopefully defend themselves might work out. um but yeah, let's talk about these bounty hunters, right? It's the name of the episode, and we get a lot of very different bounty hunters. I did not get all their names, so
But I want to just go off right off the bat with one of the bounty hunters. It was the one that was in a droid. It gave me Men in Black vibes. When
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio's character kills a guy in the diner, they do the autopsy, and you see the small little alien come outside the body, and he's just dying like this. And it gave me Men in Black vibes with that
Yeah.
bounty
No,
hunter.
I mean, and what did anyone catch the name? I want to say Ahsoka used it, but I didn't write it down.
Yeah, it was Serapis.
Yeah.
Serapis, which I think was Serapis the one that said to Ahsoka, we don't count the knee highs, which was kind of funny because then she finds out later that he in fact is a tiny little species in a
Kind of
big
looks like Dobby from Harry Potter.
little Dobby House L5s. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ahsoka had to give him advice that you don't have to look tough to be tough. So.
Yep, and he proves that during the fight scene when his mech unit gets destroyed and he ends up taking out a pirate on a biker.
Yeah.
Or speeder. So then we have the leader of the bounty hunters, Sugi.
Yep, Sugi.
Who I don't know. I was feeling like there was a little tension between her and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I think this whole perception of what it means to be a bounty hunter, because like you would think that like when you hear bounty hunter, you don't really get good vibes, and yeah, because like whether they're picking off targets, but yeah, I mean they're defending it, they're taking a small rate, and Obi-Wan's very quick to judge them too, but like yeah, I think eventually he starts to warm up to them, but you clearly see the difference of like the bounty hunters and the Jedi with the way they're trying to like teach the farmers to defend themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right about the bounty hunters. Technically, you don't want to, right? They get paid to do the tough work. They don't want to train people to do the tough. Well, that's not true, right? We had seen bounty hunters doing non-bounty things.
On cadets.
Past, right? They were teaching the cadets. So I get, yeah, bounty hunters. At one point in this, they were called mercenaries, also, which makes sense. That's really more what they are, as opposed to just bounty hunters, But we'll definitely see more bounty hunters in the future, and continue to talk about them. We do get another bounty hunter who's like a sniper. Didn't get her name.
No.
R.I.P. Because unfortunately she looks like she doesn't make it. And then who am I forgetting? Oh well, we mentioned Embo.
Yep.
And that's the 4. And then so pretty cool though. Cool characters, cool to have different bounty hunters. Hondo being Hondo. Oh, and we get the Teddy Roosevelt reference too. Did you notice that? Hondo says, as I always say, speak softly and have a big tank.
I did.
I think it was a reference, right? That, as far as I know, Teddy Roosevelt was the one famous for, or who at least who coined "speak softly and carry a big stick."
That was Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy
So
Roosevelt was a Rough Rider, man. I mean, dude, Teddy Roosevelt. Like you read about him, truly fucking badass.
Yeah, definitely a cool president. But yeah, so it was just interesting that was referenced to. But yeah, and again, I didn't know. Anyone catch any of the voices? Anybody unique doing a voice?
Like I've heard Hondo's voice before. I don't know who the actor is, but if you ever seen a Goof Troop or the Goofy movie, Max's friend Pete,
Yeah,
dad, like the neighbor, that sounds like that's a voice. I think that might be the guy who voices Hondo because it sounds like. I wish I could show a picture of it, but it's like might have been Goof Troop, Goofy movie, whatever. The neighbor dad.
yeah.
I
know who you're talking about.
Trying to think of any other voices.
I don't know. I didn't know if I just sounded like.
Yeah, I know.
I know there were a lot of voices. We like to talk about that. New species, new plant.
Also, can we talk about how Anakin decides to take on Hondo by himself?
As usual.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if y'all noticed this. It's the only time Anakin had the high ground.
Bum bum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But then he gave it up.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all in all, good episode, fun episode. Cool that they did a little in honor of
Kurosawa, yeah.
and yeah, definitely I wonder I'll be the first to admit I don't always have great recall when it comes to his movies, because I haven't seen them enough. But I wonder how many other references in other works and stuff that we get, because again, I do know that George Lucas had said a few of his films lent highly to Star Wars, so we'll have to see if maybe
George Lucas really his inspiration were like samurai slash western that was implemented in the Star Wars universe. Like those were his two
well,
main.
that's yeah, and that's Kurosawa. I mean, that's Seven Samurai is exactly that, so it makes sense. Fun. Oh, and we did get a reference at one point to the Jedi being peacekeepers again that fail at keeping peace. So I thought that was fun.
We also
And
heard Hondo call them die Jedi scum,
yeah, that was pretty gross.
which was
We also didn't mention that Embo was just his finishing move was just to snap necks. He was doing that like crazy.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
The first one I was like, oh geez. Just
2 or 3, yeah.
yeah. Like, okay.
And you know what? I'm thinking, now that we're talking about like, like movie references, I'm looking at it. It's like when Anakin picks up one of those gardening tools or sticks, whatever, he starts twirling around. The first thing that came in my head was, and I was watching this not too long ago, is Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, where the Battle of Helm's Deep is about to happen, and you see this little kid who's about to shit his pants because he just got brought into the battle because he's like 12 years old, and Aragorn just takes his sword and he starts swinging it around, and he's like, "This is a good sword," and he just the same thing with Anakin. He just starts twirling around. He's like,
I'll do.
"Oh."
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I'll say at one point too, like Ahsoka was definitely the Jedi in this episode because like Ahsoka's like, oh hey, we need to help these people, and Obi-Wan's like, nope, we gotta report back and tell them that the medical station's been destroyed. So
Yep.
I
Just
think
being
for a shout out for that too. And then I know we had the quote at the beginning, but there was another quote that came to mind with this episode. Uh, Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So you kind of see that with the way they were training the villagers how to defend themselves. Because yeah, I mean, you had 7 people, they could certainly help them out, but yeah, I mean, if they were fighting a war for them, then like more people would come, like more bounty hunters. They could trap the separatists at some point, but with the way they trained them, it's like, well, they gave them the confidence to defend themselves for the lifetime. So
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
give
'Cause
everyone
if not,
give
what
everyone props. Between the Jedi and bounty hunters, they did come together to help them out collectively, and in the end, they got what they wanted, and we're gonna get left to a Republic outpost. So,
yep. All right. Anything else? Mike?
all right, well, it's a wrap. Thank you everyone for joining Three Simple Men making their way through the galaxy. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and come back next week for some more Clone Wars content. May the Force be with you always.